Here I want to explain to you about processing elk hides into rawhide. And so what I've done is I've taken these elk hides and washed them in one of the drums back there and cleaned as much dirt and debris off them as I can before I run them through the flesher. The the hides are put in with the neck first, which is better for the shape as it runs through it much flatter. And then once I pull that through, then I put the butt end of the elk in and let it move out towards me. Uh, Usually I have to cut off any excess flesh that's hanging on the elk hide. What you'll see is this type of fleshing machine. It's a Turner, and it's 62 inches wide, which fits pretty well most elk and deer hides, and even moose hides that are about that length. The roller you can see now has some burlap wrapped on it. The reason the burlap is on there is so that it helps hold the hide to the rubber wheel. Otherwise it'll slide to one side or the other. Actually, the sharpening blade that's on there is a V shape, so it really pushes the hide out to the left and out to the right, which makes it go flat. The foot pedal at the bottom that I'm stepping on allows the cylinder to open. And then for safety reasons, what I have to do once I get the hide situated is press the buttons on top with both hands. This keeps you from getting your hands inside the sharp cylinder and rip your arm off. As you can see, the drums in the back, there's one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left is my tanning drum, and what I have in there are a bunch of buffalo and cow, and I think there's some elk and even some moose capes in there. While the one on the right, I'm using it right now for dehairing some rawhide. I've got most of the hair off, but they need to have the hair finally removed, so I just add some lime to that drum and then allow them to turn for 20-30 minutes at a time, and then I'll turn those drums off. The drum located right behind me is situated just for rawhide. I never allow any hair in that drum. All I do is put the rawhide in there and clean it and wash it. So I finished up all these elk hides, and what I'll do now is I'll take them to the next room and I'll put those in some lime tanks, which will help finish removing the hair. Okay, so here we've got, actually I have 4 of these tanks. They're about 9 feet apart, or 9 feet in diameter. And so I'm going to put these hides in here, and there's lime. It's Mississippi lime. It's actually a food grade lime, and it's kosher. I don't know actually why it's kosher, but it is. But it is food grade basically. So it's just water and lime in these tanks, and the color just comes from probably the dirt from the hides that are there. Usually I'll put about 12, maybe 15 hides in each one of these tanks, and I'll spread them out so they kind of float evenly. Generally, I think on this one here, I think I only had about 8 or 9 hides to put in there, but there's 4 of these tanks, and it takes probably about 2 weeks for them to slip the hair on them. And I test this by going in there and just pulling on the hair to see how much how loose the hair is. What the lime does, it's a strong base, and it causes the skin to swell, therefore loosening the hair follicles on these elk hides. And then I'll put deer hides and antelope hides in the rawhide, moose, a few buffalo, a few beef hides. Beef hides, of course, will sink to the bottom. But all these chemicals, you look at this here thinking, oh, it looks pretty nasty. It's really not. Sometimes if you let them set too long, they'll get an odor to them. And then I just drain them and clean them, and then add fresh lime to it again. So this is probably really the first steps of processing the elk into rawhide. Once the hair is completely all slipped off of it, and sometime I'll show another video of that, I actually have to hand scrape every one of these with the hair off with a plastic scraper, and then finish processing them out. But it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of upper body strength that it takes to process these hides. So you can see I'm probably biting the end of my cigar off there because I'm grunting so much, but this is just the life of a tanner.